What do women want? This is the question the financial services industry wants to answer. Why? As you can see from the introduction, current research shows that women have more economic power and control more decisions about money than ever before. But let me tell you one thing these statistics about our expanded power will never reveal: what you want and how to get it. The reason is simple. When it comes to what women want, there is no one-size-fits-all. This presentation isn't about what all women want. It's about your economic power and the money decisions you can make to help your family and yourself. You don't need any more statistics. What you need is the information and a strategy to get from whatever your current situation is today to a future in which you have the influence and independence to get what you want. I'll begin with a personal example, my story. After college, I got a full-time job as a fourth grade teacher, making $9,000 a year. To make ends meet, I worked a part-time job at a Hallmark store at the local mall and tutored kids after school. I was married, had an apartment, and the highlight of our week was watching Dallas and Falcon Crest on Friday night. For you younger girls, think Vampire Diaries with less fangs but more claws. At the time, I had nothing but hopes and dreams. They were good dreams, but without making some changes, I realized that's all they would ever be. So I went back to school, and with hard work, I earned my law degree, and with even harder work, I was very fortunate to succeed as an attorney and work several years as in-house counsel for one of the largest financial services companies in the world. As the hard work paid off, we bought a small house, then a bigger house, then a much bigger house, and replaced our hand-me-down cars with the newest models. We started raising a beautiful son and dreamed of sending him to the best schools. After my father became ill, we took on the added responsibility of helping my parents. My last 4 years in the corporate world, I was honored to serve as the president of the Transamerica broker-dealer with the largest number of registered representatives. As one of the few women broker-dealer presidents, I traveled around the country talking with people, especially women, about investments and financial goals. In my late 40s, I became a single mom, continued taking care of my parents, and left the corporate world to spend more time with my son. I started my own law firm and a financial services business as an investment advisor representative with Transamerica Financial Advisors. Over my career, from struggling teacher to successful attorney to broker-dealer president, and now building my own financial business as a financial professional, the conversations I've had with countless women have all shared a universal theme. We all have dreams. Another theme I've heard is that many women feel that they've never had anyone in their corner. They never had a champion to tell them that anything they could dream, they could accomplish. In fact, for many women, the only voices they've heard are those saying they can't. I was fortunate to have had the best supporter any girl could have hoped for, my father. Growing up, he always told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be. I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I could have whatever future I wanted to have. My father passed away in 2012. He left me with the confidence to dream big and enough belief in myself to last a lifetime. I hope all of you have had someone in your life like that. If not, my father and I have a message for you. You can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. You can have whatever future you want to have. It's up to you to decide to believe that truth. Remind yourself of it every day and act on it. If my career has taught me one lesson, It's that women who don't take control of their life are unlikely to reach their dreams. That's especially true when it comes to finances. What does it take to gain financial control of your life? 2012 was the 40th anniversary of the passage of Title IX, the federal law that guarantees equal access to education for women. That law was critically important because it's through education that we can realize our potential. And it's through education about our financial picture that will help us realize our financial goals. Taking control of your finances starts by learning a few simple but important rules. We'll help you with all these rules, so don't worry about getting it all down today. To start our discussion, we're going to walk through an example. Our example today is Sarah, who may be like you or someone you know. As you follow her story, think about how you can apply the same simple rules to take advantage of the same opportunities she does. We pick up with Sarah in her 20s. She's just starting out her career with a brand new accounting degree. Her only asset is a small savings account for emergencies funded by her parents. She owes more than she owns. So if you were Sarah, what would you be concerned about? Well, Sarah is concerned with making sure she can pay her debts, and she should start to think about saving even a little for retirement. This picture shows the 6 main things that make up our financial picture. All are important, but some are more important at different times in our lives. The 4 areas highlighted here are cash flow, debt management, asset accumulation, and emergency fund. Cash flow represents the amount of money we bring in. And for Sarah, this is her salary. We all should have an emergency fund for unexpected expenses, like new tires for your car or medical costs. A good rule of thumb is to save at least 3 months of your monthly income or cash flow. As for debt management, Sarah will want to be sure that she does not spend more than she makes, that she can pay her debts on time, and maybe even plan to pay her car loan off early by paying more than her minimum payment. After taking into account the amount she needs to pay her debts and her everyday expenses and save for her emergency fund, Sarah should also start investing for her retirement. Now, there are 2 formulas to keep in mind. Income minus spending equals surplus. Surplus multiplied by time equals wealth. Income is our cash flow. It's a positive number. Spending is our debts, and it's a negative number. With the surplus, we can save for our emergency fund and start investing for asset accumulation. Now, let's take a look at how time can have a tremendous impact on surplus or asset accumulation to create wealth. Time can be your worst enemy or your greatest ally. No matter where you are in your life, the key to building an asset accumulation program is to begin saving now. The sooner you begin, the less money you'll need to put aside to create solid savings for your future. Now, here's an example of how the monthly amount required to reach $1 million for retirement changes with how much time you have to hit that goal in an 8% tax-deferred hypothetical account. The best way for Sarah to put time on her side is to start saving today. Now, Sarah's in her 30s, and she's married with 2 children, and she's been promoted to a manager position in her company. Having a family and success in your career are great things, but they also bring on more responsibilities. So at this point in her life, what should Sarah be thinking about? Now, their cash flow is larger because it includes both Sarah's and Daniel's income. Debt management is still important, and Sarah should be considering ways to consolidate and eliminate her debts, especially those high interest rate credit cards. Whenever possible, Credit cards should be paid off entirely, but if that's not possible, Sarah should work to pay off the higher interest rate cards first. Taking on more credit card debt should not be a substitute for your emergency fund. Sarah and Daniel both save for retirement, so asset accumulation remains a positive part of their financial picture. But what happens if Daniel passes away? Or what if Katie breaks her arm playing soccer? Who'll take care of Josh and Katie while Sarah's at work? And is it time to start planning for their college tuition? Like when she was in her 20s, the boxes for cash flow, debt management, asset accumulation, and emergency fund are all highlighted. Debt management now also includes the expenses for childcare. This is in the minus column. And asset accumulation now encompasses not only their retirement plans, but their plans for their kids' education. This will be in the plus column. Also highlighted is the box for proper protection. With a family, having the right life insurance in place for both Sarah and Daniel is important to make sure that even with the loss of one or both of their incomes, their debts can get paid and their children will be taken care of. How much life insurance Sarah needs is based on a variety of factors, like her age, health, number of dependents, income, and debts. The basic rule of thumb is to have enough life insurance to provide approximately 10 times your annual family income. So if Sarah's annual income is $50,000, she should consider having $500,000 in life insurance protection. Of course, many variables can affect the amount of life insurance you may need. Existing savings, assets, and retirement funds may play a part in your calculation. Also, depending where you are in your life, the purpose of the death benefit could be different. Perhaps it's intended to replace a breadwinner's income, or maybe the purpose is to provide funds to pay estate taxes. In her 40s now, Sarah finds herself a single working mom of 2 teenagers. She also finds herself helping to take care of her aging mother. While Sarah may have half the assets and half the debts she had in her 30s, she is now dependent on just her income, and she has some additional expenses with her mom. Have Sarah's financial concerns changed? She has all the same concerns from her 30s, but the proportions and magnitude have changed. She has less income and less wealth to pay her debts and to invest for her children's education and her retirement. And she has new expenses in helping to supplement her mom's income because Social Security, which her mother is completely dependent on, doesn't take care of all the bills. When Sarah's father passed away, her mother lost access to her father's pension. As before, cash flow, debt management, asset accumulation, emergency fund, and proper protection are all highlighted. They are all still important. Remember the 2 formulas we learned earlier? Income minus spending equals surplus, and surplus multiplied by time equals wealth. With the decrease in cash flow and adjustment to spending for less debts but new expenses, Sarah's surplus amount will be less. With less surplus or asset accumulation for college tuition and retirement, time becomes even more important for creating wealth for Sarah. In her 20s, time was on her side. In her 40s, time is now working against her. With less time to grow her wealth, the rate of return that Sarah is earning over time takes on new significance. This picture shows a hypothetical example of how an initial investment of $10,000 grows over time at different rates of return. The rule of 72 is an estimation of the time it takes for money to double. If you divide the number 72 by the rate of return, the result is the approximate number of years for money to double. If Sarah had invested $10,000 at age 29, and if it earned 4% rate of return, she would have around $40,000 when she turns age 65. If instead she had earned a rate of return of 8%, at age 65, Sarah would have grown her wealth to close to $160,000. Because rate of return is very important, especially if you have less time to invest. How have investments for everyday people like Sarah performed over time? Unfortunately, not very well. According to Dalbar, the average equity investor underperformed the S&P 500 index by almost 4% per year for the past 20 years, as well as underperformed for the last 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. How can the average investor like Sarah ever retire if that applies to them? Now in her 50s, Sarah is promoted to Chief Financial Officer of her company and remarries Stephen. Together they have 4 adult children. Sarah still helps to take care of her mother. What should Sarah be thinking about now for her financial picture? And what lesson should Sarah have learned from her mother's situation? While she has some of the same concerns, healthcare, long-term care, retirement, and taxes have become more important. For couples over age 65, there's a 70% chance at least one partner will need long-term care. The average length of stay in a nursing home is 2.8 years. The average care period outside a nursing home is 4 years. The cost of long-term care keeps rising and is expected to quadruple by 2030, which is when the last of the baby boomers will reach retirement age. Sarah's cash flow is larger with her promotion and now includes Stephen's income. Her children are living their own lives, so her expenses are lower, but still include taking care of her mother. And she'll want to make sure she has proper protection, not only with life insurance, but with long-term care insurance. Sarah continues to invest her surplus for retirement, but with time getting shorter before she retires, Sarah is not willing to take on more risk for the potential of a higher rate of return. After having weathered the Great Recession, Sarah, above all, wants to avoid losses. The more you lose, the more you have to gain to get back to even. If you lose 10%, it takes 11% to get back to even. And if you lose 50%, like some investors did in 2008, it takes 100% to get back to even. Let's look at 2 different money management strategies. First, passive management is a strategy for investors to manage risk by allocating investments among a broad array of asset classes and holding those assets for an extended period of time, regardless of market conditions. The theory behind this investment style is that markets are efficient, which suggests that the price of a security is the fair value price. Passive management investments offer broad diversification with generally low expenses and tax efficiency. However, they don't defend against down markets and don't attempt to beat index returns. To understand how the average investor has had a challenging time, you need a closer look at history. This graph represents almost 18 years in the S&P 500 stock index from August 1982 through March of 2000. 93% of the index total return performance up to that point occurred during this period, which averaged 16.11% per year. You didn't have to be an investment professional to be successful. Then things changed. What happened to equity investors after that? Since the peak of the stock market in 2000, it's been a roller coaster ride for many of them. Can you see the need to be both defensive and offensive as an investor? 2 of the biggest market declines ever happened during this period. At December month end, the S&P 500 index is only 21% ahead of where it was at the 2000 peak without dividends. The positive returns after each of those drops made up the difference. Adjusted for inflation, it's negative 11%. For the 18 years leading up to 2000, you didn't have to be a genius to do well in the market. A rising tide lifts all boats. But during the 13 stormy years since 2000, the waters can be too difficult to navigate yourself. So what strategies could help investors like Sarah during times of volatility? The second money management strategy is active management. This is a strategy for investors where the portfolio holdings are adjusted on a continuing basis in response to market and economic conditions. This strategy offers the potential to beat the market by exploiting inefficiencies in pricing. And in theory, this strategy has the ability to defend against down markets. Generally, there are higher costs and fees associated with active management. The decision to choose active or passive money management styles should be made in the context of your overall investment objectives and ability to tolerate risk. You could even choose to use both strategies in a balanced approach to help achieve your overall investment goals. Keep in mind that any investment strategy involves risk. The recent financial crisis showed investors, especially retirees and people close to retirement like Sarah, the dramatic impact a stock market decline can have on holdings, especially at a time when they need to access their investments. With life expectancy increasing and markets fluctuating, investors need help managing their money in tough times. No manager can buy at the absolute bottom or sell at the absolute top, but what they can do is identify trends. As a trend begins to head down, they become defensive. As a trend starts back up, they can become offensive. The objective of this strategy is to respond to market conditions, as opposed to a passive approach of just buying and holding. Unfortunately, in her 60s, Sarah finds herself a widow. I know the men in Sarah's life don't fare very well. She's now the proud grandmother to 4 grandchildren. She's reached the pinnacle of her career and is getting ready to retire. If we're talking to Sarah right now, what would she say is important to her? She'd probably say that she doesn't want to outlive her money, that she doesn't want to become dependent on her children or Social Security, that she doesn't want to lower her lifestyle, but wants to enjoy her retirement, and she wants to find a way to leave something for her children and grandchildren. According to a recent report, the older population in this country is growing rapidly, and baby boomers will increase the speed of growth. In 2008, there were 39 million people, or 13% of the total population, who were age 65 and over in the United States. And by 2030, this population will grow to 72 million, representing nearly 25% of the total U.S. population. Past generations usually retired with a combination of a company-sponsored pension, a Social Security check, and their personal savings. Recently, there's been a shift to personal responsibility. People today, like Sarah, don't have pensions at work like they used to, and nobody knows the future of Social Security. When Social Security started, there were 42 people working for every one retired. Last year, it was less than 3 to 1. How many people are going to have to rely on their personal savings? People have to learn the right balance between what they spend now and save for later. There is the very real possibility that you could spend as many years in retirement as you did in the workforce. By paying attention to all of the things that make up our financial picture, cash flow, debt management, proper protection, asset accumulation, emergency fund, and now estate preservation, Sarah has positioned herself to achieve all of her financial goals. In her retirement, Sarah will begin taking distributions for her retirement accounts and her investment account. She can also take distributions in the form of loans from her permanent life insurance. Taxes can become her enemy when trying to build and maintain her wealth and when trying to take distributions. This hypothetical example shows the value of $10,000 invested in a tax-deferred account, like her retirement accounts, and a taxable account like her investment accounts. It assumes an 8% rate of return and a 35% marginal tax rate on any gains. It also shows the value of the tax-deferred account upon distribution. For tax-exempt accounts, like Roth IRAs and the cash accumulation in a permanent life insurance policy, distributions are generally not taxed at all. By taking the taxable status of various investments into consideration when building wealth and when taking distributions from what you've built, Sarah can actually lower the impact of taxes on her overall wealth and her access to it. So what is Sarah's future? What is your future? By helping Sarah navigate through the good times and the tough times, what have we learned? We've learned that there are 6 important pieces to our financial picture. Some are more important than others at different times in our lives. We've learned that income minus spending equals surplus, and surplus multiplied by time equals wealth. We've learned that there are some things we can control to increase surplus and increase wealth. We can increase our surplus by decreasing our spending and managing our debt. We can increase our wealth by saving early, knowing our rate of return, and avoiding losses. We can help protect our wealth by having an adequate emergency fund, considering products with guarantees, and using active money management. And we've learned that we can protect our wealth by putting proper protection in place, like life insurance and long-term care insurance. And while taxes can decrease our wealth, we know that there are ways to reduce the impact by using tax-deferred and tax-exempt financial products. We've talked a lot about spending and wealth. But what about income or cash flow? Can we control income so we can increase our surplus? Earlier, I talked about leaving the corporate world to start my own law firm and financial services business. I told you that I have great dreams, and now I'm in control of making my own dreams come true. I started my financial business on a part-time basis. And in 2011, the income from my part-time business exceeded the income from my full-time law practice. By building a financial business, I'm part of a team of professionals from all different backgrounds. I'm rewarded financially and promoted solely based on my performance under guidelines published by the company. I determine what hours I want to work and how hard I want to work. So my schedule is flexible, giving me the time to pick my son up from school and attend all of his school functions. And because I set my own schedule, I took time off when my father became ill and later passed away. Even better is that I get to build my business by helping other people like Sarah plan and protect their financial futures. So while my dreams seem impossible when I was a 4th grade teacher because of my limited income, my dreams have become very possible because my income potential is unlimited. I'm not worried about a glass ceiling. I see only blue skies. We're part of the Aegon Group, a global financial services organization that provides financial solutions in 20 markets around the world and is ranked among the world's biggest companies by Forbes magazine based on market capitalization. In the United States, We operate under the Transamerica brand, a company with a 100-year history, well known for its wide array of financial products and services. In 2001, WFG was created to help people of all income levels develop appropriate financial strategies, build financial confidence, and attain financial freedom. Today, I'm one of 23,000 independent associates working through our unique business platform that provides a step-by-step process, mentoring, and business tools to help all of us from all different backgrounds quickly start and build sound financial organizations. Last fall, our company published an 8-page feature in Forbes magazine, Forbes 400 edition. It showcased the top leaders, men and women in our company who earn at least $500,000 and many who earn more than $1 million per year. Judy Shao is a great example of a successful woman entrepreneur in this industry. While earning more than $1 million each year, she's made her dreams come true and the dreams of the people she works with. One of her real passions is helping others through her charitable work building schools in China. Penny Oy is another great example of a successful woman leader in this industry. She also earns more than $1 million each year and is passionate about helping others through international public charities and charitable causes she funds herself. Other great women leaders making at least $500,000 each year include Marlo Felton from Colorado, Hannah Hornstein from California, and Bernadette Kim from Texas. Marlo has also been very active, giving her time and financial help to a variety of charities and community outreach projects. Hannah used to be a real estate agent and mortgage broker before she started her financial business in her early 20s. For the past 10 years, Hannah has given her time and wealth to charities that help children throughout the world. Bernadette has always helped people, starting as a nurse and now helping them as a financial professional. She also supports several religious and charity organizations that help children and families around the world. Through our broker-dealer and registered investment advisor, Transamerica Financial Advisors, our 4,600 registered representatives, including the women leaders featured in Forbes, serve the financial needs of Middle America, where most of the financial decisions are made by women and much of the wealth is controlled by women. Women like Sarah, women like you. There are 3 ways you can consider working with us. You can become a client, you can decide to start a part-time career with us, or you can decide to become a full-time business owner. For all 3, your next step is to meet with the person who invited you to watch this video. The most important thing for you to remember today is that you can begin to take control of your finances by learning the few simple but important rules that we discussed today. The next move is yours. But if you decide to wait, keep this in mind. Until the mid-1960s, most residential real estate agents were men. Over the next 10 years, women began taking over the industry. By 1980, there were more women real estate agents than men. Today, the real estate industry is dominated by women agents. There are a variety of reasons this shift occurred, but one factor is clear. Both men and women generally agree that it's primarily the woman who decides which house to buy. They also generally agreed that women real estate agents better understand a woman's needs in a home. Sound familiar? Recall the statistics from the beginning. 95% of women will be their family's primary financial decision maker at some point in their lives. 90% of women believe they need to be more involved in financial planning. And half of women over 65 outlive their husbands by 15 years. And by 2020, it's expected that women will control $22 trillion in personal wealth assets, up from $14 trillion today. Could the same gender shift that occurred in the real estate industry be underway in the financial services industry today? It certainly could be the moment. And if it is, would you rather be one of the new leaders in the woman-dominated financial services industry, or would you rather be one of the women buying from them? For me, the choice is simple. I want to be one of the first women soaring in that blue sky. The statistics and trends reveal a specific message. Now is the time for women to launch a business as a financial leader, but without training, a plane, fuel, and a map. How will you get from the ground to the stratosphere? That's the magic of our business platform. It gives you the training, the plane, the fuel, the map, the co-pilots, and even helps clear the clouds for you. It gives you the proven tools and system you need to launch your business as high, as fast, and as far as you can dream. There are only blue skies, and they belong to us. Make the decision today to take the controls, and they'll belong to you too.